All right, hi. So here we have Kirsti with us again, and a young horse we're working with. This question, the topic of the month is how to get the horse to shift his weight more to his hind end and get him off the front end. We are more or less, that would mean we're talking about collection, how to get the horse to carry more weight with the hind legs, how to get him to be lighter on the front. We sometimes talk about it like maybe they're not carrying a whole lot more on the hind legs, but for a longer time. I explained in the video that I made, the teaching demo video, that by nature horses do carry more weight on the forehand than the hind legs. Probably about 60 or 70% of the weight is by nature on the front legs. I don't believe that we are very much changing that in that sense, that once your riding session is done and you put your horse back on the field, he's going to keep carrying the weight on the front legs. Maybe we alter that over time somewhat, I'm not sure, probably a little bit. But I think getting this collection or getting the horse to carry more weight with the hind legs is something we kind of work towards every time we get on the horse. It's not about permanently shifting the weight back and then the horse just comes walking out of the barn one day sitting on his hind end. That's not quite how it works. We want to have that control. We ride the horse down and forward, we ride the horse in a heavier or a position where they are heavier on the forehand, and sometimes we kind of want that to some extent. For extension, for example, we don't have a lot of carrying power, we have that so-called pushing power. But then we want to have the control and the ability to be able to shift that weight a little bit more back at the horse to carry the weight a little bit more, a little bit longer on the hind legs, be lighter on the front, we get bigger movements, beautiful horse and things like that. Part of it is also to get the top line stronger. We use carrying exercises, collecting exercises to make the horse's top line stronger, so he's better prepared to carry us over long distances and for a longer time, and he's going to last longer and feel better. When it comes to this project of training collection or training the horse to carry more of the hind end, there's no way to talk about that without talking about top line control. A lot of it is about top line control and the communication system that the horse understands and reacts correctly to our legs and reins. The spine of the horse is a little bit S-shaped, as I pointed out before. Comes a little bit like this and down and up again. And what happens then, or can easily happen because of the shape of the top line or the spine, is that the horse can carry or pull his pole up or lift his head up. By lifting his head up too high, the withers go down. When the withers go down, the hind end kind of comes up and is further behind. So then we get what we call a high croup and a short hind step, low in the withers and a high pole. So when the pole goes too much up too quickly, or in the wrong way, we can say, the horse puts his pole up instead of his withers up, pole goes up, withers down, hind end up. It's not as simple as this, that we can just imagine the horse going up on the front and down on the back. Because of that S-shaped spine, they can actually go up on the front and up on the back and down in the middle, which is what we absolutely do not want. Okay, so we have to have this top line control, and here we have a horse. We were just looking at him here before, and what happens with him is when Kirsti asks him to kind of be in between the eights, or she tries to collect him up a little bit, shorten up the walk or ask him to move sideways or something like that, he very often reacts incorrectly from the leg, and the way he reacts is by throwing his head up, and like we would say, falls apart, kind of. Okay, why don't you show us a little bit, Kirsti? Just kind of ride him around a little bit. Maybe start with walk, and you can start to show us, try to put him together a little bit, collect him up a little bit into like a short collected walk. Put your legs on him and slow him down and see what happens when you start to put this horse a little bit in between the eights. Put your leg on, you can see it right there, guys. If you watch, see how his head sometimes comes up, even opens up his mouth a little bit. And the reaction is the opposite of what we want. We like him to come together, round his neck and lift up his withers. He's thinking about it sometimes like there, but then he very often reacts the opposite of what we want. He reacts to the leg, or this in between the 8th cue. In between is, we talk about the term in between the 8ths, in between the cues, and that's kind of when we want to be able to use our reins and use our legs, restraining and driving the horse in some kind of teamwork. And then we want the horse to come together, lift up the withers, round the neck, lower the croup as he steps his hind legs under. But because his reaction, somehow he has learned, or somehow he thinks that the right thing to do is to stick his head high up in the air when Kirsti starts to ask for something. That is getting better. So let's just come into a circle here, Kirsti. Make it maybe a 10-15 meter circle. I'm going to step to the outside. Remember, we access the top line through the side, so we're going to start to work with a bend to his body, and we're going to start to work with some long walk, short walk, or medium walk, short walk. Let him walk out a little bit first on the circle. It's the regular walk. Make sure you stay in your left seat, so your left leg should be a little bit more back and right leg more down forward on the girth. And you can make the circle a little bit smaller. So the bigger issue we have with controlling the top line in the beginning, the smaller we like to make the circle, because the smaller we make the circle, the more bend we have. And the more bend we have, the more we have control over that top line or that roundness. And you can start to then go into a short collected walk, even push him off your inside leg a little bit. He doesn't understand that a whole lot. That's something we're teaching him also, is to step off the inside leg sideways a little bit to the outside. And when he gets soft and nice like this, then ride him forward. Ask him again if he comes up. And you find a good moment when he gets a little bit round and soft on your hands while he's responding to the leg, and then you free him up and ride him forward. Where we position the reward is a very powerful tool. If we reward would be, in this case, when you stop asking the horse to do what he's doing, or allow him to stop doing what he's doing. If you ride him out of the exercise, or let him allow him to stop doing what he's doing, reward him, when his head goes up, then that's what he is going to think about, or probably or more likely do the next time. If you reward him when his head came down, or he came in closer to the position that you want him to be in, that's what he's most likely going to look for the next time. The horse is always looking for the reward. He's always looking for the position where he gets rewarded, where life is easier, where there is less pressure. And we have to make sure that there is less pressure when he's doing something in the direction of what we want. Left leg back, right leg on the girth. Inside leg forward, outside leg back. There we go. The reason for that, the right seat in this case, is that we want the horse to be bending around your inside leg, and that inside leg on the girth, the rib cage is where the horse can bend, right behind the withers. And you want to keep your outside leg back, because you want to prevent the hind end from going out, because if the hind end goes out, we lose the bend in the body. So it's sometimes a little bit opposite of what we have, what comes natural to us. Naturally, we often put our inside leg back. But if you put your inside leg back, you're sending the hind end out. If you send the hind end out, you are straightening up your horse when you actually want to bend him. There you go. Good. Very good. Very good. See how he's starting now to connect already a little bit. Kirsti can slow him down, ask him to yield off the leg a little bit. He stays or comes into a rounder, softer form, and then she lets him go forward. Now he came up again. Keep working. Rein, leg, and then you let him go when you're happy with him. If he looks good now, just let him. Now he came up again. There and forward now, and forward now. The forward walk is the easy part. The short walk is the hard part for the horse. So the forward walk is the reward for the collected walk. and we want the walk to come together, shorten up, or collect a little bit, we sometimes say, and he needs to be soft and a little bit round while you're using your leg. And when he gets soft and round while you're asking him to do something with the leg, in this case step a little bit sideways, then you can reward him by riding forward. It's a very common problem, or especially used to be a common problem. After tölt training, people would ride their horses forward and pick their heads up a little bit too much for tölt training, so the horse would start to believe that tölt meant put your head way up. That's absolutely not how it should be. They can maybe come up and free up a little bit, but we don't want them to throw their heads up as soon as they start thinking about tölt, or as soon as they feel the lower leg. So this horse does not understand the lower leg enough or not correctly. He understands it means forward, but he also believes it means throw your head up. But if this is always the reaction, that the pole goes up when we ask the horse to do something, especially through the driving aid, we will never get the horse to carry more of the hind end. We will never get a strong top line and a collected horse. Oh, good. Keep going. And the theory is pretty simple in that sense. We ask for something like this, a lateral step. Doesn't have to be much, just as long as the horse is yielding a little bit from the inside leg. If he does that while lowering or keeping his head low and soft, or round and soft, he gets rewarded. If the head comes up, the pole comes up, he's excited and like this exactly, then you keep asking for what you're doing. You just keep doing the work until you get a good moment, like there, and then you go forward. And make sure you come into the middle a little bit and come away from the walls. Now he's starting to run through the shoulder a little bit. That's better, and then forward. Maybe let's take this, maybe you go on the other side again, Kirsti, and go on the wall. Let's come off the circle a little bit. We're going to fast forward a little bit here. In reality, we would probably spend more time on the circle here, but the next step would probably be to do a long walk, short walk on the straightaway. There are horses that do better in the beginning on the straightaways. It depends. I feel like most of the time, most horses, it's easier to access this through the bend, and that's the theory. But occasionally, it's also good to do it on a straight line. So what I want you to do now is just do a short walk, collected walk. Wait for him to get soft, wait for him to get round, like this somehow, and then let him go forward. Very nice. And then ride him forward. No, I have to wait. Was he not light yet? Okay, good. Kirsti said he was not light yet. There he saw himself. Scary mirror image or a shadow. There you go. So Kirsti had the right reaction there. I told her to let him go forward because she looked around to me. But Kirsti was absolutely right. If he's not light, he should not go forward. There's 2 things or 3 things we're waiting for. 1, that he slows down, shortens up the steps. 2, that he gets light, and 3, that he gets round. Doesn't have to be very round, but at least rounder and not bracing against the rein. When he is doing those 3 things, he is shifting the weight back. If he just rounds the neck like he did here before, and Kirsti noticed he was not light, he didn't shift the weight back. Now keep going. Maybe don't go too slow, Kirsti. It needs to be a little bit of a forward flow. You want it to be short, like this, but still forward. So if you're not getting a good reaction, you don't have to go slower and slower and slower. You can only go so slow before you stop. Then you just keep kind of doing what you're doing at the speed you're at and keep working for it. There you go. Again, we want the horse to shorten up the step or slow down the forward movement. We want the horse to become light on your hands. Ideally chewing softly on the rein, on the bit. And we ideally want the horse to, or we do want in this case, some roundness to the neck, or a good position. I'm not looking for some extreme, superficial round position, but round enough that he's not sticking the nose out, round enough that the top line of the neck is convex. The top line of the neck is round like that, a little bit. He becomes light on the hands and stays low. Once we reach those 3 points, we allow the horse to walk forward. So he starts to learn that the sooner he comes into this position, the sooner he gets the freedom to walk forward. And when we reach those 3 points, we did manage to somewhat shift the weight backwards. All right, keep going. Don't be shy to use your legs, even though it sometimes gets worse before it gets better. Sometimes we get shy to use our legs because, especially with horses like this, because they have trained themselves to react, like we explained in the beginning, incorrectly, that when they feel your legs, they stick their heads up. All right, keep working, it's going well. And then what often happens when we're training horses like this is we start to automatically, it's like a human nature, to start to use the legs a little bit less than maybe we should be, because we know when the legs come on, the head goes up more likely, and there's a little bit of tension for the leg. And then we sometimes say, who's training who? The horse said to you, okay, take your legs away, otherwise I throw my head up. And sometimes the rider say, yes, no problem, I'll take my legs away. Instead of turning it around and saying, okay, my legs are staying here, my legs are coming on until you put your head down, then my legs go away. That's good. And then you have to evaluate how much leg you can put on and how quickly. There you go. I look good, I look good. It is important that the short walk doesn't start to kind of stall out, like when they lose the forwardness. This looks pretty good. And sometimes the last thing we get is the lightness, because that's when the horse really has to shift the weight back to get light. They often try to cheat in 2 ways. They cheat in a way that they round but hang on your hand and don't get light. That means, yes, they repleased you in one point of it. They rounded the necks, but they did not shift the weight back. Or they sometimes try just to sometimes they just round the neck and don't slow down. That's another way they can do. They round the neck and didn't slow down, so then he didn't become light. And then they can also slow down but not get soft. So we want all 3 points: short enough, soft enough, and then round a little bit. I'll keep working. A little bit struggling now, but keep going. You're doing fine. Keep going. Don't lose the focus. Yes. Turn him a little bit. We have a circus horse here. Now we went a little bit too slow. So just go back on the rail. Keep doing it right away again. Don't give him a break. Just don't go quite as slow. There we go. Getting better. And then I would let him go. So here, when we find ourselves a little bit in trouble like this, sometimes we have to start to reward a few times for very little try. For some reason, he kind of got stuck there and broke out like that. And then we have to keep going, but we have to try to find a way to be able to stop asking. Maybe just go the other way a little bit. So, but we have to find something to reward for. So we try to be smart about finding some little try that we can reward for. Or we just go back into the circle. Do it one more time here on this long side. There. Looks good. Okay. In the end here, let's look a little bit into the tölt. Let's see what happens. Let's see what's waiting for us. And just go ahead and do a little, put them together into a short collected walk. Go into a slow tempo tölt. Let's see what we get. Just start on the straightaway. Let's see if we're able to translate this at all into the tölt. In reality, we would probably be spending more time on the walk, spending more time on the circle, whatever, but that's okay. We will see what we get. The head goes up right away. Keep riding forward though. Here, of course, the leg control gets more difficult. He does not yield from the leg so easily on tölt. See how he's kind of a little bit bracing up. Not too bad, right? There he goes again. Come into the circle now, Kristi. Go a little bit slower maybe. Go closer to the walk. And then go back to walk. Shorten up the walk a little bit. Get him soft as you can. Use the leg just like you did in the beginning. Stay in your left seat. There you go. Get him soft. And then when you're relatively happy with him, go forward into tölt transition. When you go into tölt, just keep contact and then go back to walk. Just keep doing this flow between walk and tölt. Don't try to hold him in a round position. Just try to convince him. Just get him soft, prepare him, make him as good as you can on walk at this level, at this stage. And then keep soft contact and back to tölt and then back to walk. And just keep going between here. You can also add a little to it when you go into tölt. You can play with the reins a little bit left and right just to kind of help convince him get around into a tölt. And then just go into the tölt. And for now, don't change your mind. Just go and now better there and then back to walk. Just kind of like him, make him think it's no big deal. You're not trying to hold him anywhere. Horses can also become like this because somebody tried to hold them somewhere at some point. Horses are naturally a claustrophobic animal, and if you keep going straight down, don't go too much sideways maybe. If they ever feel held anywhere, they have a tendency to break out of it. There, there, good, nice. And another idea you can do, I'm going to step to the outside, is you can be on a relatively big circle, get him ready, go into tölt as you make the circle smaller. And you can increase the bend. Maybe try that a couple of times. And then into tölt when you're happy with him. Or when he's okay, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then make it a little bit smaller. There, there. We're doing that to help trying to convince him to stay around and soft. Part of this is also that he has to trust your hand. He has to trust your connection. He has to be willing to hold your hand and trust your hand as you go into tölt. That's why I don't want you to hold him anywhere, because as soon as you start to hold him somewhere, he stops trusting. Okay, and then tölt again. Ah, good. Nice. Good moment there. Good. Maybe one more time. Looks good there, looks good there. There. Good, good, nice, 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 and back to walk. Good, now give him a long rein, let him walk out a little bit. I think he did, it's enough. Tricky thing with this kind of work is that it is quite closed in. It's like a in the box kind of work. That's why we have to be careful to not overdo it. Let him stretch out, let him move out. Another thing I wanted to add here, even though the horse might not carry himself always exactly the way we want, it does not mean that you should not ride forward if the horse is not in the perfect position. It is important for the horse to move out, even though he might not do it exactly the way we want. He needs the freedom to move, he needs the exercise and all that stuff, and then we just slowly try to get it better and better and better. So this will be, you can just come here, Kristi. This is kind of, I think the message is that for now is we were working on shifting the weight back. There is no shifting the weight back if you don't have control over the top line. We usually start to control the top line through some bend, one way or the other. This is just one way, of course. We can do other techniques also. Get the horse to accept coming in between the eights, meaning you can approach the rein and you can approach the leg somewhat on a similar time, and the horse gets soft, not bracy. And once we have that ability to ride the horse in between the eights without getting him bracy, we can have some top line control. We can systematically start to work on shifting the horse's weight back or collect him a little bit. Good? Any comments you have? Good. Good for now. Thank you. And please don't be shy to ask questions here in comments below. I will answer them in the Q&A live next week. Thank you.